That being said, I didn't get a chance to talk about the injury on Sunday. That was Aiden Hutchinson. I know you guys are probably tired of talking about it. Your stomach is still in knots from what it was. It was a horrific injury. We did see surgery went well. Glad to hear that. He gave us the thumbs up via tweets and videos, and we have some sound from Dan Campbell. But the immediate conversation, do you go out and get somebody? You talked about Max Crosby. A lot of people I'm hearing, homegrown. A lot of people are, you recruit from within. Brad Holmes, trust the draft picks, trust the things and the people that he's brought in. I'm coming in with new energy and I'm coming in hot. Bull, you know what? We got to go out and get a guy. If that guy is Max Crosby, if that guy is Trey Hendrickson, if that guy is Myles Garrett, if that guy is insert guy here, Hassan Reddick, not necessarily so sure about. Thank you on that one. But you got to get somebody. And the reason why is this is Super Bowl year.
That's right.
This does not happen often.
Tell 'em,
for
Braylon.
any franchise, especially this franchise. Not to mention, before the season started, what were we saying about the D-line? He needs another guy. He needs another guy. We were saying that when Aiden Hutchinson was on the team.
Yep.
We said that when Aiden Hutchinson was having the best year of a defensive end in this league this year. We still said, if we could just get him a guy. Now that that guy is gone for the season, we think, you mean to tell me you're going to recruit from within to get to the Super Bowl? I'm not buying it. They got to go get a guy stick.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in locker rooms with teams that are close, right?
Yeah.
When you went to the Jets, you guys went to the AFC Championship game. That team was definitely
Back-to-back years.
close.
Yeah. And
So
to
you
your
know
point,
what it feels like when you're looking around to the 52 other men in that locker room and you're like, guys, we're this close. We need something else in this locker room.
Yeah.
And as a team, like you said, Devontae Adams, he may not fix the Jets' problem, but he's going to at least breathe some extra life into him. After
Yeah.
a loss like that, if you bring in another dog, that whole team's getting lifted, right, Braylon?
yeah, 100%.
Offense and defense.
It's funny you bring up the Jets. In 2009, when I played for them, we were the third best defense in the league at the end of the season. When I got traded, they finished third overall in defense. You know what they did in the offseason, Stick? They went out and got Antonio Cromartie. They went on and got Jason Taylor. They went on and got we already were third, and you
Double
got to
down.
get you double down and you triple down, and then we added LaDainian Tomlinson on offense. So you got to put yourself in a assured spot so that you can get to that to the dream, and the dream and the goal is the Super Bowl. Dan Campbell did talk about that surgery that Hutch had down there in Irvine. I think we have that right now. This is Hutch.
Sure, I know that there was an update with Hutch and his surgery. Surgery went great, which is all good news. I kind of mentioned this yesterday, but man, Hutch is a captain for us, highly productive player, great teammate, does everything right, and was having one hell of a game, one hell of a season, and so look, that it hurts. It hurts to lose somebody like him, not only the player but the person that's in that locker room, the leader that he is. But that being said, listen, we move forward, and let me say this before I get to what I was just saying. Look, it's 4 to 6 months. I would never count Hutch out, ever. So, yeah, probably, long road, but I would never count him out. And I would say if anybody can make it back, it'd be him.
Yeah, when you say not counting him out, look, man, he's a tremendous talent. He's a tremendous player. He's actually gone through this before, University of Michigan in 2020. But you're talking about somebody that is going to be your franchise, somebody that's going to be here a very long time. I don't want Aiden Hutchinson to ever play for another franchise, and I'm sure they don't either. Don't rush him back. Maz, the only player I can think of is two players that come to mind when you talk about this type of situation. There's Rod Woodson. And the reason why that comes to mind is because Barry shook him up at the Pontiac Silverdome, tore his ACL, then came back that year, played in the Super Bowl, and obviously T.O. Hairline fracture in his ankle, and he did come back. What are your thoughts, Maz, when Dan Campbell's at the podium, he's talking about don't count this guy out, Aiden Hutchinson, 4 to 6 months. What are your immediate thoughts?
I believe in him. I believe what he's saying. I believe we had Dr. Pierce yesterday. He was on Big D Energy today. He's going to get a lot of hardware in that leg. That leg is going to become strong again. And this guy's work ethic is second to none. You saw how he got his body ready every single year, come up with new moves this year. Going back to my days of watching football, Jack Youngblood of the Rams, Hall of Famer, he played with a broken leg in the entire playoff season. He played right through the Super Bowl with a broken leg. Joe Klecko of the Jets, the Sack Exchange, your guys, the Jets.
100%.
He played with a broken leg as well. But these are the old warriors. This is the new time. And we brought it up yesterday. Terrell Owens is the guy that you think of. Perfect. Kept his body in perfect working condition, said he'd be back, and played his heart out in that Super Bowl.
Fracture, though.
And
Hairline fracture is very different.
This is a disaster, what happened to him. And I just want to ask you, you saw the leg swing back and it hit Penei Sewell's. What are the odds on that happening? I mean, I've never seen anything like that, like swinging your leg back and hitting Penei. Thank God. I think it was Penei.
It was a Lehman Neal.
I'm sorry. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, we know what you meant.
And I couldn't. Thank God it wasn't a double knockout.
Right.
I mean,
then it was like
how does that happen?
No,
Spenny's reaction, I thought, was the closest thing I'd seen to it, and it was Anderson Silva, the UFC fighter, when he kicked and the guy leg checked him, and his leg just snapped over it like that. So it's happened. You got to create a lot of force to do it. Actually, when we were out yesterday, a guy came up to me and he brought up the fact that Aiden was limping a little bit in the first half. And he thought maybe it was already kind of, maybe he had a hairline fracture. That something like that may have compounded it and made it even worse. I went back to watch the Lions game last night. I didn't get a chance to watch the entire thing. So I want to focus on Aiden. But, man, when I was rewatching the game, just knowing that I don't get to see 97 in that motor for a whole 4 to 6 months it really is heartbreaking.
We were robbed.
It really is, because you're you're watching the first half knowing that there isn't going to be any more Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
And it was not to the extreme of at a funeral when you're watching the recap. But it felt like that, oh my gosh.
And he was peaking this season. That's why I say we were robbed. He was on his way to taking that next step, and it's a shame we won't be able to see
Amari
high
Cooper
finishes.
to the Bills coming through. Hot news.
Well, that's actually
he escaped from Cleveland.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense because
sense.
we were talking about it, and I thought Devontae Adams. I said that Buffalo was the place that I thought he should go. You get him with Josh Allen, it immediately turns the narrative right there in Buffalo. You saw him last night. They just can't get anybody downfield.
Both teams on Monday Night Football make a deal for a wide receiver
because neither team really had a guy going. They could have some short success. A pass here to Garrett Wilson, a pass there to Keon Coleman, but neither one of those guys were breaking for either one of those teams. Immediately when it happened, you're looking at what this team is. What this season is. It's a Super Bowl season. Aiden Hutchinson goes down, and then instantly the thoughts are, is this team still a Super Bowl team? Where is this team? Where is this team in the grand landscape of the NFC and the chance to get to the Super Bowl? A lot of people asking Dan Campbell that same question. Here's Dan Campbell answering that question. Are they still a Super Bowl team without Hutch?
Listen, my job is to coach what's here, and I'm going to coach the hell out of them, and we are as a staff. And so, yeah, I do. And if we get somebody, great. If we don't, these are our guys, and the coaches know that. This is what we came into camp with. This is why we develop talent, and it's the next man up. They got to be ready to go.
Stick, I'm going to come to you, and I'm glad, and I'm cool with the next man up. Rah, rah, rah. It all sounds good. Before we talk about bringing someone in, this team that is currently constructed with not bringing anybody in, bring Justin Houston or elevating somebody, whatever, where is this team at for you in the NFL now? Exactly where they are now. No Aiden Hutchinson, but they still obviously have a damn good team.
I don't see this as a step back at all.
If you don't add anybody, you don't see them. You still see them as a Super Bowl winner.
I still see them as a Super Bowl contender. I mean, winner is a tough thing to declare for any team. I'll never say a team. I'll say contender. And this was the question we asked immediately after. And Dan Campbell was on the flagship station this morning too, doing his weekly interview. He's like,
"What station is that?"
The flagship. They said, he was like, "What are we supposed to do? Just stop playing?
Drop an L.
Just stop playing." Just stop playing,
right.
And that's it. No, you don't. And I'm on the post-game show. I said Brad Holmes has built this team to be bigger than any one man. Even though Aiden Hutchinson is as close to that dude as you can't lose as possible, it's him and Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Everybody else you can survive without. Right? That's the way I feel about those two players specifically. But you also got to look at this isn't the same defense as last year. If you would have said last year's defense, heck no. They become the very worst because now not only do you have a suspect secondary, you can't get a pass rush. it's a little bit different this year. I love the rebuilt secondary. I think they're improving week by week, game by game, play by play even. You're seeing with TA getting better and better and better. So as a collective, yes, they've taken a small step back, big step back as far as pressures on the quarterback. But you also know the ability of Brad Holmes guys and Dan Campbell guys to play within the system, and for those guys to get the very best out of their players. So I'm not saying it's possible to replace Aiden Hutchinson. We all know that is impossible unless you're bringing out a Watt out of retirement or something like that. You're not replacing the productivity of Aiden Hutchinson. But team-wise, they can scheme. They can find ways to get pressure. The interior defensive line is a lot better than it was last year. So, you're going to start seeing more stunts probably with Reeder, and that can pick up some slack. So, as far as everybody being like, oh, Hutch out, this team's over, I don't like that mentality. I don't believe that mentality. And if Brad Holmes elects not to bring somebody in because he thinks he's got pieces in-house that can fill that gap, who am I to question Brad Holmes?
Hey, yesterday when Dan Campbell was talking, he basically said, We got guys. He said, this guy's here. Hey, James Houston's still here as an front. Today they signed practice squad player from Cincinnati, Isaiah Thomas.
Yay, Zeke.
All right, defensive end. So Zeke is now a Lion. So there you have it. We'll see if they do anything else. Don't hold your breath, though.
Braylon, what do you think, though? Do you think they need a dude, or do you think collectively they can fill the gap?
No, they need a dude, because as it stands right now, I love the team. I love how they've gotten better. The defense is much improved from last year. The secondary, Brian Branch. I mean, I can't wait to get to Brian Branch and talk about the player that he's going to be in this league. But they need a guy. Like, if you don't have Aiden Hutchinson, who allows those pressures, who allows those quarterbacks to start to think about 97 off the right, now you got quarterbacks making bad passes, bad decisions. It leads to other players getting involved. DJ Reeder, Aleem McNeil. Like, when you don't have that, it doesn't necessarily happen like that. I think currently, this is me, I think without Aiden Hutchinson, they have now gone to the number 2 team in their own division.
Okay.
And that's not bad, because the team that's in front of them is arguably 2-3 in the league as of right now.
And I will argue against myself a little bit, because when you look at numbers, and numbers are an important part, they're not everything. There is nuance, Flannel Sam, but there is nuance to numbers. But Aiden Hutchinson's win rate is 17%. The rest of the defensive line's win rate, anybody want to guess?
2.
Not that good.
6%.
Sheesh.
And Aleem McNeil is that guy.
But no, that's collectively. Like, so
but he's got most of them.
When you're dropping down 11% of snaps, that is quite the difference. But that being said, like, they're going to utilize other players. They're going to run different stunts. Maybe they blitz more. Maybe they bring Brian Branch in like they did against the Buccaneers.
They're going to need
and send him off the edge more. Like, there's ways to do this.
100%. Like, no, now they don't all of a sudden become a non-playoff team. Any dumb stuff like that. They're still a team that's probably going to win this division, contend for this division, and contend once they get in the playoffs, depending if they make a move or not. You get DJ Reeder more involved. You bring in Malcolm Rodriguez, and you allow Jack Campbell to blitz a little more. Last year, Jack Campbell, when they wanted to blitz with him, they added Malcolm Rodriguez to the party. So you'll see some of that. But, Maz, it reminds me of the San Francisco 49ers. Every time that the 49ers didn't make it to the Super Bowl in the last 6 years, you know who didn't play? It's Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
It's Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa being injured, they don't get to the playoffs. They don't get to the NFC Championship. When Nick Bosa is healthy, they get to that dance. I just think that you're replacing a lot when you're talking about the best pass rusher in the game, at least as of right now. That's tough. KG, what are your thoughts on that? I want to get you involved in the combo.
I want to make 2 points, because I feel like the answer lies in the middle here. To Stick's point, last year, the Lions had one of the worst secondaries, arguably the worst secondary in the NFL. On top of that, they had the same problem that they had this year. Aiden Hutchinson, no pass rush on the opposite side. And what did they do? They got to the NFC Championship game.
But they still had Aiden Hutchinson.
No, that is true. So, just, before I get started, I do want the Lions to make a move here, because when you look at this thing as a whole, Marcus Davenport went down as well, and that's something we keep forgetting about.
This is true.
Both of your starting edge rushers are now down for the year. And if you want to throw Kyle Pecco in that mix, you can throw him in that mix. You're missing him too. So I do feel like you need to make a move in order to keep this train rolling and stay in the Super Bowl picture, because they have enough to be a playoff team. But if you want to get to that ultimate goal, you got to have a guy there. But I just don't want to mortgage all of the future, and I guess that's dependent on what guy that you get. If it's a Max Crosby, maybe I consider 2 first-round picks. If it's Myles Garrett, maybe I consider that. But you don't want to mortgage the complete future because your GM's best attribute is drafting players.
Yeah, and you talk about the team. You talk about the guys, the defensive line. Look, do you believe in them? Well, here's Dan Campbell talking about his faith in his defensive line.
Now, what gives me hope moving forward is Aaron Glenn. All right, we've been coaching here, man, 4 years, and he's done everything in his power to work around any personnel we have and use the players that we have and get the most production we can. And we will be able to adapt to that. I have a lot of faith in that D-line room. Mac and Levi and Reeder, and Pascal and that group that's going in there, Ukwu. We got Muhammad on practice squad, Agude, Houston still here. So we got options, and it's why we play with 3 phases. So we play offense, defense, special teams. That's why we do it. And we help each other out. So we'll be just fine. We're going to move forward. And I'll kind of leave.
A lot of people had something to say about him adding Justin Houston last after the practice squad guy and after the guys that are starting. Do you make a lot of that, Maz, him listing Houston last, or is it just, one, he listed the starters, the guys that are immediate impact, and then 2, he listed guys that just signed the dotted line?
No, he meant it.
Okay.
James Houston has definitely fallen out of favor. I mean, you don't hear him, you don't see him. He's an afterthought. And this was a guy that us, Lion fans, all of us, were saying, oh, yeah, he's going to come back. Those 8 sacks, man. He got hurt last year. He's coming back strong this year. He ain't. He's nowhere to be seen. I would love for him to be able to be put into this lineup, a homegrown guy that they drafted, and see him do what he did 2 seasons ago. Yeah. But it doesn't look like it's happening. And they go out and they get practice squad guys, and I really don't believe that they're going to go out and get that name you guys really want. I just don't see it. With like Kenny said, they look forward to April. They look forward to that draft more than anything.